we're going to look at geometric objects, otherwise known as geoms. When we write out a R script, in the last section we had geom points. We're going to look at geom smooths. So first let's load the library. It's called Tidyverse. So we got the data set loaded. Now let's look at a function. So everything's the exact same except instead of using geom point, we're using geom smooth. The output is a chart that looks like the following. What this does, it takes all the points and then creates a line based on those points. So you can see it curves up at the end. We can separate this further to look at it by individual drivetrain. So we have the third variable being drivetrain. So line type equals DRV. DRV is the column header for the drivetrain, and now this will create a different line for each type of drivetrain. You can see that the forward wheel driving cars are here, the four-wheel drive cars are here, and the rear-wheel drive cars flatten out. Every geom function in ggplot2 takes a mapping argument. However, not every aesthetic works with every geom. You can set the shape of a point, but you couldn't set the shape of a line. On the other hand, you could set the line type of a line-job geom smooth with a different draw line, but that's a little difficult and challenging. You can also create a, how do I say this? You can create a line and a color for every geom as well. There are many functional options with the geometric points. These are just two of the functions you can use to create your geom points. You can also display multiple geoms in the same plot and add multiple geom functions to ggplot. So let's take a look at how to do that. So we had the geom points, geom smooths, and now let's say we wanted to add the geom points. Geom point mapping equals AES, X equals display, Y equals highway. So now this is going to create a chart that has both the points and the display not found. So I didn't put an L in display, and that's why it didn't show up. So here are your points, and here is your line. This gives you a good visual that shows you both the points and the line that fits those points. However, this introduces some duplication in our code. Imagine if you want to change the y-axis to display county, CTY, instead of highway. So I mean city, CTY, instead of highway, so you want city miles. You need to change the variable in two places, and you might forget to update one. You can avoid this type of repetition by passing a set of mappings to ggplot. ggplot2 will treat these mappings as global mappings that apply to each geom in the graph. In other words, this code will produce the same plot as a previous code with much easier handling and error correction. So we can type this out. Instead of using geom points and geosmooth, we can remove that altogether. Leave it as mapping. So now you have the X and Y axis mapped. And then all you would do is put the geom point and the geom smooth as their own functions without any variables in it. R automatically takes these values and maps them into the geom point and the geom smooth functions. Non-numeric argument to binary operator. Mapping equals AES. Oh, the data, we need to, the mapping ggplot data equals MPG. We can remove the second parentheses, add a comma there, and now you can close this out, and that actually maps it better. Geom Smooth. And there you have it. This gives you the same functionality as the previous code, except it's a lot more concise and condensed. So I'd recommend using this version, this syntax, because it's easier to maintain and easier to use going forward.